I knew this month was gonna be a rough one. It's Phoebe Rizzo, here to talk to the void again, and I kind of jumped right into the deep end now. Okay, so let's get started. Let me introduce you all to the Curse of the Dead collection. 10 movies with absolutely no uniting theme. Title, Curse of the Dead. One movie is about the undead. It's the one on the cover. We'll get to that another day. Now this collection is bad. 10 movies. I'm going to be revisiting 3 or 4 of them over this month. This is going to be my go-to. And I'm not going to lie, this one was rough. I actually watched the movie 2 days ago, and I was exhausted after it. So, normally, I record these right after watching it, or the same day. The day after, I had a very long work shift, and I was not in the mood to revisit this film again. But we've come this far, and I didn't rewatch this movie for my health, so I'm gonna have to talk about it. So, god damn it, let's get this over with. I give you Sorority House Vampires from Hell. Yes, that's the title. On IMDb, it's usually just shortened to Sorority House Vampires, but still. Now, I'd like to start this off with the Curse of the Dead collection. I'm just going to read what it says on the back for what you guys are in for. Now, the movie was 1998, so and the effects were dated back in 1990, if that. Okay, like I said, read off what it says. Death, Demons, D-Cups. The UFO demon, Rebel Hazor, has sent the vampire Natalia to destroy the Earth. Each time she takes a victim, a natural disaster rocks the planet. Humanity's only hope is the sexy sorority pledge Buffy and the members of her sisterhood. She must not only save the world, but must also save herself from the perverted desires of both Rebel Hazor and Natalia. Sounds great, doesn't it? And it's as good as that sounds. Now, for this one, I'm going to have to take a closer look. This movie needs to be discussed in more detail. I'm just going to kind of run through it, and, well, so you'll never have to. Okay, so the movie is about an hour and a half. The first 3 minutes are opening credits, in which a naked woman, colored red, is dancing. So 3 minutes solid of a naked woman dancing. Also, the camera seems to be dancing also. You cannot see things clearly. It's like the camera is being held by one of those wacky waving inflatable tube guys. And it's like that. There are a couple points, but mostly just the beginning here. Now, you get 3 minutes of that. Followed up by meeting the UFO demon, Rebel Hazor, who looks like someone took like an AV console from a TV studio and put a bunch of red paper mache on it. Now this, and a bunch of CG tentacle things just there for no reason. Now he has a naked woman standing next to him, of course, goes without saying. And he tells us, speaking directly to the audience, mind you, in an accent that would be racist if I could place what it was supposed to be. I can't. I have no idea. Half the time it's indecipherable, but it has a weird halting way of speaking that it does sound like it's trying to make fun of someone or something. So, he tells us he's going to hypnotize us, which emanates to the naked woman next to him starting to dance. And another 5 minutes goes by of just her dancing, intercut with a bunch of other random scenes, including, but not limited to, a woman filleting a dagger, and some other naked women. That gets us to the 8-minute mark. Padding. Lots of padding. So, then we pick up with, after that, we experience a stark quality drop as we cut to the main film, and it's already shot on worse cameras. It's like they added the UFO demon scenes later to an entirely different movie. You could take that entire segment out. It would change nothing that happens. It just sort of bookends the movie. So, we get the quality drop. And it's now black and white. Because, of course it is. So, we cut to a woman being stalked, a hiker woman being stalked, and she gets thrown down to the ground and her clothes being torn off. Then it's revealed it's just an elaborate role play between her and her boyfriend. Okay. They start to have sex. So, we're not 10 minutes in, we're already there again. However, a undead hand kind of comes up out of the ground, grabs her, at which point she seems to enjoy this because now I guess the massage is very good that it's giving her. Now the movie tries to be funny on many occasions. It is not a funny movie. It's trying to be like a tongue-in-cheek spoof, sort of, but it's not funny. Anyway. So they realize that there's some undead creature coming out from under the ground, so they run. Get a little bit away, and then, oh, I guess we're safe, and they start banging again. Only for the vampire that was stalking them to come up and, well, bite them. And whenever this woman bites someone, you get this little CG gauge to the side that I had no idea what it was. But every time a vampire bites someone, it seems to fill up. So it's like their blood drinking gauge that has no bearing on anything. It doesn't do anything. It has nothing to do with anything. So, we cut away from that to our main characters, who are Buffy and her friend, I don't even know her name anymore. They are dressed like, I don't even know, like women on a plantation in the 30s? Or before? 1830s? For no explanation. I mean, another woman comes up, dressed normal. Anyway, they're going to be joining a sorority. So they're doing this cabin retreat, which they can go through their hazing thing and join the sorority. Fine. Anyway, while these two women are there, they're being stalked by a man in a hockey mask. And we pretty much repeat that scene we just saw with a woman and a hiker. That, no, it's just her boyfriend being an idiot. After this, we cut to Count Vlad. Now, Natalia, as I mentioned on the back of the box, is the main vampire lady. Count Vlad, I guess, is her would-be lover. These are both ancient, the last vampires, I guess. And he's been locked away. And so he's finally waking up and he's trying to escape this room. And every time you cut back to him, it's just him bumbling around making his situation worse and knocking his own teeth out. But hey, it's now in color before cutting back to black and white. Now, it's very choppy, as the first hiker scene that's being attacked by Natalia, the sorority pledges and the boyfriend, and Count Vlad here are all jumping back and forth between repeatedly back and forth. It's very hard to keep track of where we are. But at the end of this little segment, Natalia pretty much turns and addresses the camera, saying that she needs to find 9 victims, so 7 more, and then the world will end or become vampire heaven. It's kind of unclear, because a natural disaster happens every time she takes a victim. She tells us right to the camera. Okay. So, anyway, after this, the movie's in color now. The black and white part, it's done. Why was it there? I don't know. Was it a joke? Maybe. A lot of their jokes just seem to not go anywhere anyway, so quite possibly. And it's at this point the audio problems really start kicking in. You cannot make out what half the characters are saying unless they're looking right to the camera. If they're talking amongst themselves, you can't hear anything. So, the sorority pledges get to there, and their sisters tell them that they're going to have to find a vampire amongst them. Essentially, that's like their sorority challenge. Whoever finds the vampire will become a member. And one of them is, quote-unquote, a vampire. And whoever stakes the vampire. And I just handed a meat steak. Because, again, this movie tries to be funny. It's not funny. So, from here, most of the rest of the movie just keeps alternating between random hazing and Natalia taking more victims, including some very dumb rednecks, and the boyfriend of Buffy. So, after around the time he's taken and becomes a half vampire, because apparently she didn't drink all of his blood, so he's only half turned. He gets one fang, and is now Gollum, I guess, as he keeps arguing with himself, because one half wants to find victims for Natalia, the other half wants to protect Buffy, and he's doing that thing. So... then pretty much it's just any excuse to get the characters to have random sex scenes, doing random parodies, including like what I'm guessing now it might be a Rocky Horror reference, but they do it so poorly you can't really. I'm not sure. So I took notes. Most of this you don't need to know, and it doesn't make sense when watching it. My notes don't make sense now, but I'll try my best. Anyway. So, like I said, they kind of cut back and forth. Around the midpoint, it cuts back to Rebel Hauser, who has a sex scene with a woman there just because. As before, you could take him entirely out. Won't lose a thing. So, as the various people around here start going missing, the main girl finds a book of exposition, which explains what's going on, who the vampires are, and how to stop them. There are 3 ways to stop them. 2 of them are so stupidly nonsensical and full of pop culture references. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, one of them is give her a date with Mike Tyson. I'm not kidding. That's what they say. Why? Anyway. Essentially, they don't actually say what the 3rd way is, but it's obviously staking the vampires. So all that's left are the pledges now. All the upper sisters have been taken. There's 3 upper sisters. There's one that's pretty much the token foreign exchange girl who speaks in an accent. Then there's a very masculine woman. And then there's the hippie spiritualist girl. They're each taken in a stupid fashion and become vampires. The hippie girls was the worst, though. She gets into a religious debate with a vampire, complete with a no one expects the Spanish Inquisition reference. This movie tries to be funny. It's not funny. And the masculine woman's revealed to be the boyfriend of the foreign girl, who's not actually foreign. It's just part of their kink, I guess. Which is fine. Have your kink. Don't make a movie about it. And that whole prepping the house montage, which is stupid. All the zombie would-be vampires who've been going out and getting victims for Natalia. They assault the house, finally. And they're each defeated in a stupid manner. One's locked in a closet. Another is tricked into counting rice. Because that, it's the old vampire superstition that they have to count spilled things. So there's that. And they're pretty much defeating vampires. Or vampire, zombie, whatevers. The movie doesn't even make sense in its own continuity. Like, all of Natalia's victims are pretty much little zombie stupid minions. Except for the guy who's like half vampire. Why is he half vampire? I don't know, but he's the only one that did that. And about every 5 or 10 minutes, you cut back to Count Vlad. Knocking one of his teeth out, electrocuting himself, getting himself locked in a pillory. Again, you can pretty much take Count Vlad out and you'd lose nothing either. This movie is... all it is padding. The movie will randomly cut to an infomercial for itself, or... and its own graphics don't even make sense. Like, they have a news channel they keep cutting to where they talk about the natural disasters, which is like RNN. At one point, the RNN graphic just randomly appears when nothing else is happening. So, I think they just couldn't even control their own effects. So, they defeat the zombies, and then Natalia comes into attack. Doing it herself. And they fend her off with a UV light. At least I think it's a UV light. That's the only thing I can think of. They wave because light they find at her. She'd been out in sunlight all day. Okay. So, Natalia realizes she needs help, goes and frees Vlad, so bringing him finally into the movie. While Buffy is chasing her with, like a determined to stake her. And then the movie tries to be Clue. The movie has Buffy runs in and gets overpowered by Natalia, and it ends. But it was like, what did you think of that ending? How about this? They rewind. It actually rewinds, goes forward, and has her stake Natalia. Then it, or maybe this, rewinds again, has Natalia burst in and attack Vlad, drinking his blood, which now somehow has made her human. And then has to fend off Buffy from killing her, despite her not, because she's not a vampire anymore, and she has to convince Natalia of this, or convince Buffy of this. And then it breaks into a musical number to end it. Before going back to Rebel Hazor, just saying that he'll be back. Well, this is the second musical number in the movie. Like, the vampires have their own little desert music video at one point in the movie too. All this movie is padding and an excuse for to get the cast naked. That's it. That's all there is. That's the movie. That's it. This movie is hard to watch even on a fun bad movie scale. It's rough. It's not so accidentally bad that it's funny, and it's not entertaining enough just to for what it's doing to be worthwhile. Like it could be like a bad movie can sometimes be fun. This one's just hard to sit through. The lowest rating I give is a 1, so it gets a 1 MacGuffin. Don't watch this movie. The title leads you in, making you think you're going to see something, and it shows you exactly what it says it's going to, but it's not worth it. Well, you got Sorority House, you got vampires from hell. Maybe? I guess because you tacked on a UFO demon from Mars? I think he said he was from Mars. I guess he's trying to conquer the Earth using ancient vampires. Plan 9 from Outer Space looks competent compared to this. But production values are better on that one. Avoid this movie. Well, I'll be back in a day or so, since I've waited too long. I'm probably not going to hold off on busting open this collection, because the movies in here are a special kind of bad. One of them on here is my go-to for worst movie that I've seen. And yes, it's not this one. So, I'm going to probably pull up something else that's bad, but more of an enjoyable bad. Because I can only take so many of these in a row. Good luck out there. Good luck.